My first animation was just PNGs sliding around on screen. Now I'm producing fully animated anime. This is how 8 years changed everything. I've been making animations on this channel for a really long time. Some of them were good, most of them were pretty rough, and looking back at my older stuff, yeah, I still cringe a little bit. But every single one of those videos taught me something and got me closer to where I am now. So I just want to walk you through my animation journey, where I started, where I am now, and where I'm going next. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. About 8 years ago from this video, I uploaded my first animation to YouTube. And I'm using the word animation very generously here because it really was just me taking PNG images, stick figures, little expressions I drew, and sliding them around on screen. I was grabbing random images off of Google, throwing them into my editor, and going, yep, that's an animation. And I was so proud of it. I was making storytime animations. If you don't know what those are, think Jaden Animations, The Odd Ones Out, that whole era of creators who were telling stories about their lives and animating little characters over them. I was, of course, nowhere near their level, but I just loved doing it. I made this one video about my old Game Boy Advanced, and people actually started commenting about their own game devices and sharing stories from their childhood. And that was huge for me. People were actually watching something I made and actually responding to it. Now, here's the funny part. When I first wanted to learn how to actually animate, I literally just opened Google and typed in how to animate. That was my entire game plan, which is apparently exactly what Jaden Animations did, so I guess that's just the Storytime Animator pipeline. So that was my whole world for a while, just me in my room, making these little Storytime animations, learning how to time things to music, how to make stuff feel like it was actually moving, how to sync audio, all super basic stuff. But I was building a foundation for everything that came after. I just had no idea at the time. Eventually, I started connecting with other people in the Storytime space. Smaller channels like mine who were also just figuring it out as they went along. Occasionally, we would shout each other out, collab on videos, lend our voices to each other, and kind of just grow together. And that was really cool because up until then, I was doing everything completely by myself. Having other creators contribute voices or bouncing ideas off of each other made it feel way less isolating. Then around 2019, I started to get into something different. A lot of my Storytime animator friends were either dropping off or no longer posting to YouTube, so I needed something different to animate. The Storytime community and the genre of Storytime animations was slowly dying off, and a lot of my mutuals in the space were either dropping from the internet or just not posting Storytimes anymore. So I needed to find something different to do. I was really into Critical Role at the time, so I started making animatics based on scenes from the show, and those started picking up like crazy, like way more than my Storytime stuff ever did. People were finding my channel through the Critical Role animatics. I was gaining subscribers, gaining more comments, gaining more money through monetization and ad revenue. On paper, things were looking great. But the Critical Role stuff just wasn't what I wanted to be known for. Don't get me wrong, I loved making these animations, but I had this idea brewing in the back of my mind this whole time. See, I had already been making these little original characters that I would slip into my Storytime videos every now and then to help me tell my stories. And I kept thinking to myself, what would it be like if these characters had their own world, their own stories? Like a full-on TV show or an anime. And the longer I spent on animatics for the sake of views, the more I felt like I was putting that dream on hold. So eventually I just decided that I would just go for it. Around 2020, I started pushing myself to do more polished anime-style stuff. I made a full anime opening and ending for my channel, character shorts with actual voice acting for my voice team, little animations with these characters actually interacting with each other. It was a massive jump from what I had been doing, and I really had no clue what I was doing. I was still learning how to even draw anime style stuff, and so I was stuck in this in-between of the little characters that looked more like storytime animations and actual animated characters that were closer to anime style. I was just figuring things out one video at a time. So I started posting a bunch of little teaser trailers for some of my original characters. While I was working on that, I started also working on a video where two of my characters are having a talk inside my mind palace about mental health. And while I was putting it together, I started posting clips to TikTok. Things like work in progress shots, clips of my finished animations, stuff about how I animate and how anime gets made, and people started actually paying attention. By the time I published the trailer, the TikTok clips from it were going viral. I was gaining followers fast. People were sharing my work, and all of a sudden there were way more eyes on my content than I'd ever had before. But going viral doesn't fix your problems. Sure, more people were watching more than ever, but I was still one person doing everything. Animator, director, coloring, editor, project manager, all of it had to go through me first, so everything was slow. There was an animation that I started in October 2021, and I didn't complete it until October 2022. A full year just for one animation. I love how it turned out, and honestly, it did pretty well for itself, but if every animation was going to take me a full year just for a few minutes, I'm probably not gonna finish this anime. So I swallowed my pride and started asking for help. I reached out to a few freelance animators in my immediate circle who were down to work on the project, and I started handing off shots to them. And that alone was a big deal for me because for years I was the person who did everything. Now I'm not gonna lie, handing off my characters and my animation to someone else was really hard for me. But it worked. Other people were handling parts of the pipeline that used to take me weeks to do on my own. And eventually that small group of freelancers turned into a real team. Animators, voice actors, people helping out at different stages of production, and all of a sudden, videos that used to take me a full year were getting done in under 4 months or less. I also had to learn a completely different skill set. I went from being just an animator to being a project manager, organizing shots in Notion, setting up Google Drive folders for every stage of the pipeline, giving notes on rough drafts, tracking who's been working on what, a lot of the behind the scenes corporate paper type stuff that nobody really sees, but that's the whole reason that things are actually getting finished now. And around this time, brands started reaching out too. Companies like Huion and Clip Studio Paint wanted to work with me. I went from making stick figures and PNGs in my bedroom to having drawing tablet companies send me their products and one of the biggest digital art software companies sponsoring my content. That was a moment where I kind of stepped back and went, wait, this is actually happening. And now, roughly 8 or so years later, this is where things are at. Fully animated, fully voiced shorts with original characters, original stories, and a team of really talented people helping me bring it all to life. I went from keyframing PNGs around a screen to producing potentially actual anime, and honestly, I still have a hard time believing that. Looking back at everything, the storytime animation stuff, the critical role animatics, the solo grind, all of it was part of the learning process. Every rough animation, everything that made me cringe, it taught me something. Every burnout moment forced me to find a more efficient way of doing things. And every person who watched my stuff and left a comment helped keep me going. So the main takeaway from this is if you're just starting out, or if you feel like you've been at this for a while and you feel stuck, just keep going. 8 years ago, I was Googling how to animate and dragging circles across my screen. And if I can get from that to this, you can too. And I'm not done yet. My indie anime series, Welcome to the Mind Palace, is still in production, and there's a lot more on the way. If you want to keep up with that, go check out some of the animations on screen now. Thanks for visiting the Mind Palace, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.